Okay, whenever you multiply two linear expressions together, you may get a result that has an x squared. This is called a quadratic expression. So if you have two linear expressions, that means you have like an x plus 2, that's linear, times an x minus 3. Then you end up getting something with an x squared when you multiply your x times your x. So that's a quadratic expression that has a degree of 3. That's when you multiply two terms together. So when you multiply three expressions together, you're actually going to end up getting, maybe we have an x plus 4. You have 1, 2, 3 x's, you're going to get the result with a degree of 3. So this comes in handy whenever you multiply three expressions together, or sometimes when you multiply a binomial times a trinomial, you'll also get something to the third power. So if we want to find the product here, we're going to use the distributive property, but you can't use FOIL. FOIL is only useful when you have a binomial times a binomial. Here we have a binomial times a trinomial. So what we're going to have to do is you're just going to have to use your distributive property, and you're going to have to multiply your 3a times all three terms in your second set of parentheses. And then you're going to have to use your distributive property again with the 4 to multiply times all three terms. So let's go ahead and multiply our 3a. So 3a times an a squared gives us 3a to the third. 3a times a negative 12a is going to give us a negative 36a squared. And 3a times a 1 is going to give us a 3a. Now we're also going to have to multiply your 4 through all three terms over here. Now I'm going to take 4 times an a squared, and you could either write plus 4a squared out here. The way I like to do it though is if I already have another a squared term, I like to write this 4a squared underneath my 36. And I'll show you in a moment why I like to do this. It makes your final answer a little bit easier. Now you got to take 4 times your negative 12a, so that's going to give us a negative 48a, and I'm going to write that underneath this a term. And then I'm going to take a 4 times a 1, which is just going to give us a 4. I can't write this 4 under anything underneath here because I don't have any other constant values. So the reason I do this is because now if I want to simplify my final answer, I can just add these straight down. So I have a 3a cubed plus nothing. So I get 3a cubed. And then I have a negative 36a squared plus a 4a squared. So that gives me a negative 32. So you see how they're already lined up, and I can just add them down as long as you have your terms in the same row or the same column. 3 minus a 48 gives us negative 45a, and then I just bring the 4 down. So that is my first expression if you multiply a binomial times a trinomial. Now let's try B here. We're going to multiply a trinomial times a trinomial. We're going to have to do some multiplication. So let's multiply this trinomial. We're going to take, first off, we're going to take our 2b squared times all three terms over here. So 2b squared times a b squared is just a 2b to the fourth. And then we're going to have 2b squared times a 3b gives us 6b to the third. 2b squared times a negative 1, that's going to give us a negative 2b squared. Now I'm going to have to multiply my 7b times all three terms. So I'm going to do this in different color. This is going to be 7b times a b squared. That gives us a 7b to the third. I'm going to write that underneath my other b to the third power. This will make my addition at the end much, much easier. 7b times 3b gives us a 21b squared. 7b times negative 1 gives us negative 7b. Now finally, I have to multiply my 9. So man, all this multiplication, it's almost giving me a headache, except I love to multiply. So 9 times b squared gives us a 9b squared. 9 times 3b gives us a 27b. And then 9 times a negative 1 gives us negative 9. So what I can do is just add these all straight down. So 2b fourth plus nothing, 2b to the fourth. I I have a 6b to the third plus a 7b to the third. That gives us 13b to the third. Negative 2 plus a 21, so that gives us 19. 19 plus 9 is a 28. B to the second. And then negative 7b plus 20b is a negative 27 plus 27 is a 20b. And then we just bring down our negative 9. So we can combine all these all into our answer. And there you go.